Alrighty, new video, new free-to-play deck list. As you can probably tell since we're on Alexis, it's going to be Cyber Angels. It took me quite a while to farm the cards, but I got the cards. Now, what do I think about the new cards? I think it was a waste of time farming the cards. So the two new ones, I should bring them up, right? There's 2/2 Bond. 2/2 Bond. And Magnificent. So there's 2/2 Bond and Magnificent Machine Angel. Tribute 1 Cyber Angel on your hand or field. Target a light fairy on the field. Gains attack. If this turn, if it battles an opponent's monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, that opponent's monster's effects are negated during that battle phase only. You can activate 1 per turn. Now that effect, obviously, what jumps to mind, you deal with these big invoked fusions. You can attack into Cocytus and negate its effects. And yeah, that's a really good card to negate the effects. But how do you then, with Cyber Angels, capitalize on its effects being negated? You can't really. Because in that sort of, after you've attacked, there's just nothing, unless you want to run Clash. But if you want Clash, well, that's a semi, you can't run Dakini, things like that. So it's potentially good if these cards weren't semied, but they are semied, so it's not that good of a card. And as for 2/2 Bond, it's an okay effect, but the level is where the issue lies. It's a level 5, so it doesn't meld with any of the other ritual summons, because you have to, in the case of your most popular one, your Machine Angel Absolute Ritual, you'll be using that most often. The levels have to be exact, and unless you have, what, can you use a Kite Void, or does it have to be shuffle Fairy Royal Monster deck, So if you have that, you could use it, but you're not going to have it consistently, and that's the only way you can make a 6, and there's no level 3s to make a 5. And the only other time you'll be able to use it is with this. So it's too situational, right? Its effect is okay, but it's a bit redundant because you have other cards that can do that. So we're keeping the core of the deck the same. Now, triple and triple, Editon and Benton, they're your core pieces. You want to tribute. The combo is, I believe, summon Editon by tributing Benton. Then you get the effect of this to add a ritual spell and this to add a monster. Right, ritual summoned, if this card destroyed, if this card is tributed, add a light fairy. So you summon this, you then get the spell, another spell, then you get the monster that you want, and you search for your Petite Angel. You summon Petite, then you search for either your Dakini or your Izana. Depending on what you need in the situation, whether have back row or just a monster you want to get rid of. And then you, with either your Absolute Ritual or your Machine Angel Ritual, if you could search it and you wanted that protection in the grave, you then use your Petite Angel and your Editon, summon the Dakini or the Izana. It gets a boost from Editon, and you take out the back row of the monster. It's fairly linear. That's the problem with Cyber Angels. It seems fairly linear. And there's only really one way of doing it because of all these semi-limits. It's pretty rough. So then we have the Merciful Machine Angel, which I think is quite a good card. It's a tribute. It's to thin your deck as much as possible. If you have like multiple Ben 10s, you don't want it. If you have this and a Ben 10 and another Ben 10, you can tribute, and this end effect of adding isn't once per turn. So you can tribute off a Ben 10 with the Merciful, and then just keep going. If you happen to pull an Editon, that's your combo. So I just really like this for deck thinning purposes. Kite Void and Countergate are really good free-to-play protection and stall out until you can get your combos going. Big problem I'm having is obviously Cosmic Cyclone. It's such a huge card in this meta, and so it kind of turns off Countergate. That's why I'm not running 3. And I went down to 2 to put in the third Machine Angel, because I just want to thin the deck and get to my cards as soon as possible, because having this set card that can only be activated on direct attack isn't as consistent as I would like it to be. That's why Kite Void is much better. Not much else to talk about. Obviously, this one is you can tribute. It's got to be exact, but you can do it from your hand, field, and or shuffle from the graveyard. Now, it's important to note that when you shuffle from the graveyard, you're shuffling, you're not tributing. So you won't get the tribute effects if you're using one of these cards in the graveyard, because it's getting shuffled, not tributed. And this one has to be not in the graveyard at all, but the levels don't need to be exact. That's the important thing. And this also acts like a Neos Fusion and a Revenge Red Origin in that it can protect from destruction or battle. Yeah, so it's like Neos, or it's that sort of ritual spell, but it was like one of the first, if not the first card of its kind that we got, which is pretty interesting. Well before anything else. So that's the deck. It's tough. I wouldn't say it's cog-worthy. It's not a cog-worthy list. Cyber Angels are quite difficult to play, but they do have some strength to them, and you just sort of have to play to those outs. I just don't think that it can compete with the meta. And the higher up on ladder you go, the more you're just going to verse meta exclusively. So I have a few replays lined up. So in those situations where we open up 2 of the 1 instead of an Egerton and a Benton, that's where the Merciful can come in. We have the Ritual spell already, so we activate, we thin, we pick it up, and now we have our combo, right? As I mentioned earlier in the deck explanation. Egerton, tributing the Benton, you search, grab your Petite, and Petite will allow you to get out that turn 1 boss monster. It's really big. Now ideally we would be actually going second, because then we could use our Dakini effect on a monster, but again, it's a fairly linear strategy as far as I can tell. Get out of Dakini. It's a big 3700. It's bigger than a few different things. It's bigger than Cocytus. It's not bigger than Cocytus with a lesser boost. It's bigger than the new Assault Mode card it's at 3500. Now he gets that normal summon without tributing. We did a lot of damage over him. Dakini is constantly bringing resources back from our graveyard during the end phase. Target a ritual spell or machine angel ritual. And it's important that you can't get the absolute ritual, just the semi-limited ritual spell. Brings out Slash Dragon. We rip into a Kite Void. Now, unfortunately, again, we don't have the access to the ritual spell just yet, but we have full combo once again, but we will be going into a Zana if Dakini gets countered. He gets out a Blackluster Sacred Soldier, takes out this. Now it can be targeted by card effects, but he just boosts over and gets rid of Dakini. Recovers his Charging Gaia. We are protected with Kite if we didn't rip into one, but we do. Now, because, as I mentioned, we can go into Azana now, and Azana takes out the back row, and when this leaves the field, it's going to destroy that monster that it's equipped to, which is the Sacred Soldier. I actually get a double Egerton boost onto this Izana. 4500. There's not much you can do versus that. Barring another concentrating current. And Honorable Sudoku. Now, it looks like we're in the mirror for this one. We don't open up a ritual spell, but we have the Benton, Egerton. We have to sit. We're chilling. We have our counter gate. He goes in with Sprite's Blessing. Spot's blessing. We are protected, barring again a cosmic cyclone. Now, one thing I did notice in my testing was, unless you get the double Editon onto the one big ritual monster, it's not an OTK. It's close. With your Dakini at 3700, it's quite close, but it's not quite there. Now, he's left his Editon in defense, and he hasn't used it for the tribute summon of Dakini, so he's got the 2 monsters on the field instead. It's a bit of a different board state than what most would go for, but it's more secure. Now I go Machine, or Merciful. Rip into that Machine Angel Absolute. And now we have our full combo. Now it will ask him to send it. You don't get to pick. If they only have one monster, they have to pick the only one they have. But in the option where there's 2, they pick, obviously he's going to pick the Editon. But at that point we'll be boosted with our own Editon onto the Dakini. Will be bigger than him. He won't take damage, but he's fairly depleted on resources since we went off with our combo second and dealt more board impact to him first. And so in that situation, having that initial brick actually helped us out a lot. It's quite windy outside. I hope that's not making too much noise. Master Rights. Reversing the Paradox Brothers. Now we just open with it nice and smoothly. No searching required this time. And he's running a Vylon lock. With the new Prism card, which we got recently. Now, I don't know how Prism stacks up to Cube as far as setting up sort of a board lock on turn 1. But we have combo. We have Dakini. And because I'm not really affecting him in any way that he can stop with his Alpha or his Prism. Because it's asking him to target his own card. So it can get around sort of destruction effects and even targeting effects because you're asking them to target it. And so he scoops, but that was the power, right? Opening up full combo. If they're just sitting on the one monster, that's when it's strongest. But the problem is they need to be doing that and have not many disruptions. As you might have been able to tell, if they just sit under disruption like a Canadia, or a Floodgate, obviously they can just wait, and it's a fairly well-known combo, so they will wait until you pull out your Dakini and they Floodgate a Canadia, and then you're in really bad shape. You've invested a lot of resources to try and get out this Dakini, so it's a rough strategy, but it is free to play. Obviously all these cards are just from grinding, right? Cartwood was from the event. If you don't have it, you could probably just go more copies of Countergate, which is farmable card, and maybe an extra Izana, and take out Kite Void if you so choose. It just depends on what cards you have. Some of them might be from an event, but that's still free to play. Like if you were there at the event, you have them. This is a level up reward for Alexis. What am I thinking? Alexis, obviously. So that's super easy. Same thing, super easy, also farmable. Izana was from the event, understandable if you don't have it. Dakini looks like a level up and farmable, easy. Countergate, farmable. Just want to cover all the bases here. Farmable, level up, easy. Angel Ritual, farmable, level up, easy peasy. A lot of these cards have a lot of ease of access. It's very easy. Like, if you don't have them, well, you probably still need to go from the event. And if you didn't do the event, you might not be able to run this deck, but that doesn't change the fact that it is free to play. If you did do the event, you can run this without spending even any gems. Just if you did the grinding at the time. Super good. Good in the lower ranks. Again, not very competitive. Higher ranks, can't really compete with the meta, with Invoked. There's a lot of stall decks running around because it's good versus Invoked. It's pretty tough, but lower ranks, this should clap.